started rice farming last year, and I got my fingers burnt. By that I mean that immediately after I planted 30 hectares of land, rice farm here, the floods came last year and consumed the entire 30 hectares. So it was a loss, but I was not daunted because I'm convinced that there's a future in this country, and the future is in agriculture. I'm convinced too that Nigeria can stop rice importation, cultivate all the rice we need to feed Nigerians, and also export rice, because we have everything going for us. The weather is good for us. We have the land. Therefore, I think rice is good. Okay, so far the federal government under the transformation agenda in agriculture is making plans to set up rice mills across the country. I hear there will be some for Delta State. We are looking towards that. However, we are going to process this rice for Deltans and Nigerians on their tables, because this Christmas, this rice, Nigerians will eat of this rice. What we have here is 105 hectares of rice. We did farrow 44. By the end of this month, first of next month, we'll start to do the harvest. We have constraints. I cannot pretend. Constraints go one to the question of land acquisition, land preparation, provision of inputs and agrochemicals and fertilizers. There is a GESS program going on today in the country, but we didn't benefit from it. What we're entitled to under that scheme is just one bag of NPK urea, NPK, and one bag of urea. What we're also entitled to is one bag of rice, grain, or maize. They give us one bag. Certainly, it's not enough. My advice is that the government at all levels, state and federal government, should identify farmers across the country that have potentials in rice cultivation and give them necessary support. For us, what we need here are just implements. It took us some time to prepare this land and cultivate it. But if we add 6 tractors, we have just two. But if we had 6 tractors or more, we would have left this entire farm in less than 3 weeks and moved to our other farms. So we have other farms, we have 200 hectares, another 200 hectares, with which we can all do rice. But because of the constraints of implements, we did only this one. But by His grace, next year we think we can make progress. I support the view that the federal government should ban the importation of rice, because as far as I'm concerned, it amounts to misplaced priority for the government to be importing rice, or for Nigeria to be importing rice, when we have the potentials to plant rice, prepare it, and feed ourselves and also export. So I think I'm in agreement with that. Federal government should ban the importation of rice. Federal government should also support farmers that are genuinely interested in agriculture. I tell you, in this 105 hectares of land that we have cultivated, not 1 naira from any tier of government, not 1 naira from any bank. It's not easy though, but we have done it. But if we had support from the banks or from the government, I'm sure we would have had less complaints that we're having today. So I call on the federal government to look at farmers, the state government, to look at farmers that have potentials, that are serious-minded, not just anybody who claims to be a farmer, and support this group of farmers. For each hectare, we're looking at 4 tons per hectare. At the end of the day, if you multiply 4 tons by 105, you will see what we are arriving at. We are looking at more than 40,000 kg of rice. We're looking more than 40,000. It's a lot of rice we're expecting, and we think we can do more and better. We have the potentials to plant rice, prepare it, and feed ourselves and also export. So I think I'm in agreement with that. Federal government should ban the production of rice. federal government should also support farmers that are genuinely interested in agriculture. I tell you, in this 105 hectares of land that we have cultivated, not 1 naira from any tier of government, not 1 naira from any bank. It's not easy though, but we have done it. But if we had support from the banks or from the government, I'm sure we would have had less complaints that we're having today. So I call on the federal government to look at farmers, state government, to look at farmers that have potentials, that are serious minded, not just anybody who claims to be a farmer, and support this group of farmers. Behind me is an irrigation project embarked on by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. The intention is to make it possible for this place to be used for dry season farming. My appeal is that this irrigation machine should be completed so that we can do all round farming. During the dry season, we use the irrigation facility to irrigate the farmland. Then during the rainy season, we do the rain. Throughout the year, we can cultivate rice here. That is my plea.
To do with use of local hands within the community, whom we involved in the weeds, even though we use chemicals as well, but we also have challenges because people have to weed the farm continuously. Before now, we used to have issue of water, but we also constructed a channel that has taken water into the farm adequately for the rice to do well. Then we use fertilizers too, and we use other herbicides to ensure that the rice do well, And then the other issue we also have is use of cash. Since we started this business, I'm sure about five banks have sent people to this place. They all come with stories. That's what they do. I told one that came, one bank in particular, I told them, I said, look, what we have invested here, if the banks encourage people, there will be sufficient food for all.